Hello everyone, today I'll continue sharing the story of the single mother, Dieu Hân. I hope you enjoy the video. Ever since Han's father passed away, the small house on the red dirt road had grown strangely quiet. No more soft coughs in the early morning, no more the sound of worn slippers shuffling as the man who always woke up first prepared a pot of hot tea. Only an empty silence remained, heavy enough to make Han's heart tighten every time she stepped through the door. But she chose to stay. To stay and clean, to face everything, and to gather the pieces of memories once filled with so much love. On the first morning, as sunlight slanted through the old wooden window, Han gently opened each drawer, each little compartment. Every item carried its own story. The scarf her father always wore on cold days, the pair of glasses he adjusted over and over again just so he could clearly read every page of the literacy lessons he used to prepare for poor village children. She placed her hand on the long desk where he often sat, closed her eyes, and a familiar warmth washed over her. The warmth of the nights when the two of them repaired old books together, rewriting lessons for the children of the neighborhood. Those memories tightened her throat, yet they made her heart glow. Because Han understood that her father's greatest dream wasn't a nicer house or a more comfortable life. It was that the hard-working children of this place could read, write, and learn how to dream. And that was the very dream she inherited from him. All afternoon, Han stood in the small yard, looking toward the road where her father had walked countless times with the neighborhood kids to the charity classroom. The wind brushed through her hair, carrying the familiar scent of the fields. In that moment, Han found herself smiling. A smile tinged with sadness but also strength. She whispered to herself, "I will continue planting the seeds of knowledge for you. I will stay here and live the dream you left behind, the dream that has become mine." With that thought, her heart felt lighter, as if the sun had risen after a long rain. She believed that this decision, staying, continuing the path her father could not finish, would make him smile peacefully from heaven. Deep down, Han felt that he was still watching over her. And that was enough for her to keep going, steadier than ever. The next morning, when the sun was still hiding behind the rustling bamboo groves, Dieu Hân woke up very early. In the little house still carrying the scent of her father's woodwork, she carefully folded her mother's old audai and placed books into her bag. Everything was prepared with a kind of tenderness, as if she was restarting her father's dream with her own heart. She locked the door and walked down the red dirt path leading into the village. Dewdrops still clung to the tips of the grass, sparkling under the pale pink light. This was the very road her father used to walk, guiding the poor children by hand to the charity classroom, teaching them each letter and each simple sum along the way. Every step Han took brought those memories vividly back to life. The small school stood beside the narrow path, its old corrugated steel roof dotted with rust, its lime-washed walls faded through the years. But inside, the desks and chairs were spotless, not because of good materials, but because of the devotion of a teacher who had given his entire life to children. When Han pushed the door open, the cheerful chatter inside suddenly fell silent. A dozen small suntanned faces with bright, innocent eyes all turned toward her at once. Curiosity, excitement, and childlike wonder radiated from every expression. "Dieu Hân, you're here." A little girl with two pigtails ran up and grabbed her sleeve. Han bent down, gently patting the girl's head, feeling a warmth spreading through her chest. Her father was gone, yes, but in these eyes full of dreams, she could clearly sense that he was still here somehow. In every child, every letter, every dream he had planted. When class began, Han stepped onto the old wooden platform, her hands trembling slightly. But the moment she saw the children hunched over their notebooks, carefully drawing each stroke, she remembered her father's words on a stormy night. Being poor isn't what's frightening. What's frightening is not being able to read, not knowing which road to take into the world. Those words ignited something powerful inside her. Han knew she had little schooling, no formal training as a teacher, but that never stopped her. In the mornings, she taught them the alphabet in simple addition and subtraction. The quicker ones helped their friends, the slower ones she guided bit by bit. In the afternoons, she prepared lessons, copying new letters for the youngest class. At night, She rode her old bicycle nearly 10 kilometers to the district center. Under the cold white neon lights, she sat among adults who were also late learners like herself, trying to copy every note, every basic teaching method. Yes, she was tired. Yes, it was exhausting. But whenever she pictured her father's bent back as he wrote on the chalkboard, she whispered to herself, "For father. For the children's future." And all the fatigue faded away. During the first few days, the kids kept asking, "Where's teacher? He's not teaching us anymore. You said teacher went far. How far is far?" Those innocent questions made Han's eyes glisten. She knelt down, wrapped her arm around the youngest child, and pointed to the pale blue sky. "Your teacher is in a very faraway place. A place full of peace where he doesn't hurt anymore. He asked me to teach you so you can grow up strong, smart, and kind." Silence filled the room. Little eyes blinked. One child bit his lip, trying not to cry. Then suddenly, a boy jumped up, raising his hand as high as he could. "I'll study hard so teacher will be happy. I promise." And immediately the whole class shouted, "Yes, we'll all study hard." Their pure voices echoed in the old classroom, making Han's heart tremble. She turned away slightly to hide the tear gathering in her eye. When class ended, the afternoon sun slanted across the yard, and cicadas buzzed loudly on the hot metal roof. Han stood at the doorway watching each child run home along the red dirt path. They were undeniably poor frayed shirts, patched shorts, broken sandals, but the corners of their eyes still sparkled like tiny stars. Life was still hard, their future still uncertain, but Han believed, if they can read, write, and dare to dream, every door will eventually open. And that was exactly why she chose to stay. To stay with the old school, with her father's memories, with the children who needed these letters, and with the mission she felt she was born to continue. That evening, after all the children had gone home, Dieu Han sat alone in the old classroom. The dim yellow light flickered, and the breeze from the field slipped through the cracks in the door, carrying the soft scent of young rice. She opened her bag and took out a thick envelope, the money her father had left behind. It was not a small amount, enough for her to leave the countryside for the city, to start a different life, an easier one, less full of struggle. But it was also the very sum that weighed heavily on her heart. Holding the envelope, Han felt as if a stone was pressing down inside her chest. She didn't know whether to use it to fix the old house, to build a new classroom for the children, or to save it for her own future. Just then she remembered the letter her father had left in the wooden box by his bed. His final letter, the one he had written with a lifetime's worth of regret. Han opened the envelope, her hands trembling slightly. His handwriting was the same, uneven, shaky from age but filled with emotion. "My dear Han, if you are reading this letter, it means I am no longer beside you. I'm sorry for abandoning your mother, for abandoning you. I'm sorry for letting you grow up in hardship, loneliness, and shame. For letting you endure things no child should ever endure." Tears streamed down Han's face at the very first line. She wiped them with her sleeve, but the more she read, the less she could hold them back. "I searched for you for so many years. I feared you would hate me, that you would never call me father again. But heaven was kind, I finally got to see you. Got to hear you call me father. That alone is more than I ever deserved." Han bit her lip, gripping her shoulders tightly. She remembered their first meeting, the awkward embrace, the distant gaze. Yet deep inside was something she would never forget, the feeling of finally having a real family. The letter continued, "This money, use it in whatever way you choose. I did not leave it to make up for anything because nothing can make up for the years you suffered. I only hope it can help lighten your burden, so you can live the life you deserve. And if you use it to help poor children the way you once were, I will be happy wherever I am." Han broke down. Her sobs echoed in the empty classroom, tightening her chest until it hurt. "My dear Han, thank you for staying with me in my final days. Thank you for letting me see my grandchild. I leave this world with no regrets. In this lifetime, meeting you again was the greatest blessing of my life." By the final line, Han could no longer read. The letter had blurred from her tears, trembling in her hands. She pressed it to her chest, sitting motionless, as if someone had stolen the breath from her. Outside, the wind rustled through the trees, gentle like the hand her father once placed on her head when she was little, though she had waited nearly a lifetime to truly feel that touch. The money was no longer just savings or property or compensation. It was late-bloomed love, a final apology, a father's last wish for her future. And now she understood. She could not use it only for herself. She wanted to use it to continue her father's dream, to sow the seeds of knowledge, to build the things he never had the chance to complete. Wiping her tears, Han clutched the letter tightly, and for the first time in months of grief, a faint smile appeared on her lips, sad yet warm. That night, the wind from the fields drifted through the front of the house, making the curtains sway gently. The small home was silent, broken only by the soft chirping of insects. Dieu Hân sat alone at her father's old wooden desk, and in front of her was a wooden box aged by time. Inside that box, her father had left everything that belonged to him: mementos, memories, and the late-blooming love he never had the chance to give her throughout his life. Han opened it. Inside lay a thick envelope of money and a slightly crumpled letter. The amount her father left behind was not small, large enough to change her entire life. But that was exactly why she hesitated even more. She didn't know what to do with it. She didn't dare spend it, nor could she simply let it sit untouched, because she understood. This wasn't just money, it was his heart, his regret, everything he wished he could have given her sooner. Her hands trembled as she opened the letter. The shaky handwriting of a man nearing the end of his life made her nose sting with emotion. "My dear Han, if you are reading this letter, then I have probably gone far away." Han clutched the letter, her hands trembling. "I'm sorry. Sorry for abandoning your mother. Sorry for letting you grow up in scarcity, in shame and pain. That is the greatest mistake of my life." The first tear fell onto the edge of the paper. Han lowered her head, gripping the cloth in her hands. "I searched for you for so many years. Every day I hoped that if I walked down just a few more roads, asked just a few more people, I might hear something about you. But old age doesn't give many chances. I was so afraid I would leave this world without ever seeing you again." She covered her mouth as a broken sob slipped out. "But heaven had mercy on me. I found you again. I got to hear you call me father. I got to hold you and see my grandchild. Just that alone is the greatest blessing of my life." By now Han's tears were falling heavily, splashing onto the old wooden table. She could not stop them anymore. "This money, use it however you wish. I know it cannot make up for the years you endured, but I hope it will make the rest of your life a little less difficult." Han gripped the edge of the letter, her heart tightening painfully. "If you use it to help poor children, to plant the seeds of knowledge the way I once did, then I will be very happy." By the final lines, the handwriting grew shakier, the ink slightly smudged. "I love you. I love you so, so much. I'm sorry. I will go ahead. Please live happily, for me." Han folded the letter, but the tears kept streaming. She pressed it to her chest, as if trying to hold on to the last warmth her father had left in this world. In the quiet house, silence wrapped around everything. And yet, Han felt as though her father was standing behind her, watching her, smiling gently like he always did. That night, Han cried for a long time, crying for the lonely years she had endured, for the late love her father finally gave, and for the family bond she had finally found again. The next morning, just as the sun peeked over the bamboo groves, Dieu Hân stepped out into the yard with eyes still slightly red from crying through the night. The early morning chill made her take a deep breath, easing some of the heaviness inside her. Her father's letter was still tucked inside her pocket, as if it was quietly giving her warmth and an invisible strength. She walked to the old school. The row of trees in front of the yard stood silent, their leaves falling one by one like the soundless passing of time. Her father's classroom, the place where he had spent half his life planting letters into young minds, was now worn down. Holes in the metal roof, faded walls, a chalkboard with peeling paint. Han stood there for a long time. She gently ran her fingers over the scratched wooden desks, seeing her father's fingerprints in every single mark. Then her gaze shifted to the children playing outside. A barefoot boy running around, a little girl laughing loudly, two younger kids struggling to read from a borrowed book. They were carefree, innocent, unaware of the worries adults carried. But Han understood, better than anyone. Letters were their lifeline. If she didn't continue teaching, there would be no one else to do it. Holding that thought, Han slowly opened the envelope her father left. The bills were new, neatly arranged. He must have prepared them long ago. Suddenly, her father's deep voice echoed in her mind, like the wind whispering through the leaves. If you use this money to teach the children, I will be happy watching from above. Han tightened her grip on the envelope. A warm feeling spread through her heart, dissolving all hesitation. She whispered softly, as if speaking directly to him, "Father, I will continue your dream. I'll rebuild the classroom. I'll take care of the children so you can rest in peace." At that moment, the decision crystallized inside her. Clear, strong, and unshakable. That afternoon, Han visited Uncle Tu, the village builder and an old friend of her father's. He looked at her holding a rough sketch in her hands, and in her eyes he saw unwavering determination. His voice trembled as he spoke. You really mean it? You want to rebuild your father's school?" Han nodded. "Not just repair it, I want to rebuild it completely. A proper, sturdy classroom where the children can learn safely." Uncle Tu stared at her for a long moment, then placed his rough, calloused hand on her shoulder. "Your father would be so proud. I'll help you with everything I've got." News of her plan spread through the village quickly. Everyone, from the woman who sold vegetables to the old uncle at the corner shop, came to help. Some offered labor, some donated leftover wood, others brought extra bricks. No one had much money, but everyone had a generous heart. Watching all this, Han felt her chest tighten. She had never imagined her father's dream could touch so many people. By late afternoon, as the sun turned the schoolyard red, Han stood on the empty plot where the new classroom would be built. The breeze rustled the leaves gently. She closed her eyes and smiled. In her heart, she held a powerful belief. This new school would not only be her father's dream, it would be the continuation of a shared love, from him, from her, and from everyone who believed that letters could save a life. The next morning, as the sun rose behind the distant bamboo, the entire village was already bustling with excitement. From the far end of the hamlet came the sounds of wheelbarrows, shovels, and hammers clinking. Groups of villagers carried water buckets, sand, old wooden planks, all heading toward the empty land in front of the crumbling classroom, where the new school of Dieu Han and her father was about to be built. Han stood at the school gate, holding the drawing Uncle Tu had refined the night before. The early sunlight lit up her face, making her eyes glimmer with emotion. A new beginning, a new dream, a promise slowly coming true. Uncle Tu waved. "Hun, come here, let's discuss the groundbreaking." She hurried over and nodded. "Yes, Uncle. I'm ready." He pointed to the land. "We'll clear the area first. Lots of young men are coming to help. Leave the heavy work to everyone. You just oversee things." Han looked around. Uncle Nam the carpenter was shouting instructions as he supervised the young men moving the old wooden boards. Aunt Hai from the vegetable stall carried a huge pot of herbal tea for everyone. The children ran around excitedly, one holding a broom, another holding a cloth to wipe dust, working while giggling like it was a festival. Warmth flooded Han's heart. This school no longer belonged only to her or her father. It had become the dream of the entire village. When everyone gathered, Uncle Tu cleared his throat. "Today is a good day. We're rebuilding the classroom that Han's father left behind. I'm sure he's smiling from above right now. Let's begin." Applause erupted. Han felt her eyes sting again. Uncle Tu handed her a small hoe. "You are the teacher's daughter, the one who built this charity school. So the first strike must be yours. The entire village watched. The children stared with sparkling eyes. Han took a deep breath and stepped onto the leveled ground. She pressed the hoe into the earth and lifted a mound of soft brown soil. At that exact moment, the wind blew stronger, and the rustling leaves sounded like blessings. People cheered. It started. Let's get to work, everyone. Wheelbarrows rolling, shovels digging, hammers pounding, children laughing, all blending into a warm symphony of life and hope. At noon, everyone gathered under the big tree in front of the school. A huge pot of rice was opened, along with fried eggs, boiled greens, caramelized fish, simple dishes but rich with love. An elderly man looked at Han and said, "Han, your father was a good man. Thanks to you, his dream continues. The whole village is grateful." Han lowered her head, voice trembling. "I'm only doing what he asked. I just want the children to have the same chances as others." The old man smiled warmly. "Child, what you're doing is beautiful. When these kids grow up, they'll remember your kindness." Han smiled. A smile filled with tears, affection, and determination. By evening, the land was cleared. The first wooden pillars were raised. Watching them stand upright, Han felt a wave of indescribable emotion. Pride, nostalgia, and the sensation that her father was watching every step she took. She took her father's letter from her pocket and pressed her hand to her chest. "Father, your school. I'm rebuilding it." A single tear fell, but this time it carried hope.
Xin chào mọi người, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình. Chúc mọi người có một ngày mới vui vẻ và hạnh phúc. Hiện tại video của mình đang được phát hành vào khung giờ 7 giờ tối và 7 giờ sáng tại Việt Nam. Và những câu chuyện mình mang lại cho mọi người hy vọng sẽ góp phần cho cuộc sống mọi người càng thêm thú vị hơn. Và câu chuyện hôm nay kể về Diệu Hân. Sau khi cha của Diệu Hân mất thì Diệu Hân thừa kế tài sản của cha cô để lại, và cô đã tiếp tục gieo rắc những ước mơ của cha cô, tiếp tục những mong muốn mà cha cô đang còn dang dở. Phía trước Hân sẽ phải đi như thế nào và liệu cô có phải gặp những sóng gió nào hay không thì mời mọi người đón xem ở video tiếp theo nha. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video hôm nay. Hy vọng rằng mọi người sẽ yêu thích video này. Cảm ơn mọi người và hẹn gặp lại mọi người ở video lần sau nha.